Let's talk about Greenland, the world's largest island, a vast expanse of ice and rock, rarely making global headlines, but now thrust into the spotlight as the unlikely stage for a high-stakes international showdown. Recently, Greenland granted a 30-year mining license for a critical metal to a Canadian company, a move that blindsided the U.S. and left Donald Trump, who once tried to buy Greenland, absolutely fuming. This isn't just a business deal, it's a strategic coup with global implications. The metal in question is essential for everything from smartphones to electric vehicles and military tech, resources the U.S. desperately wanted to secure. Instead, Greenland chose Canada, with strong support from the European Union, snubbing American ambitions and taking a bold step toward economic independence and self-determination. The fallout? Washington is furious. Brussels is quietly celebrating a diplomatic win, and Greenland is rewriting the rules of Arctic geopolitics, showing that even small nations can shift the balance of power. For decades, the U.S. saw Greenland's resources as its destiny, a natural extension of its influence. But Greenland isn't for sale. It's a nation with its own voice, its own dreams, and a growing sense of agency. By picking Canada and the EU, Greenland found a third way, gaining economic benefits without the heavy baggage and pressure of superpower rivalry. This move is a masterclass in strategic maneuvering, and it's left a certain ex-president in a red hat very, very annoyed, his vision of American dominance in the Arctic now slipping further away. The decision highlights Greenland's desire to diversify its partners, reduce reliance on Denmark, and move steadily toward true independence. It's not just about minerals. It's about national pride, cultural identity, and shaping the future of the Arctic on Greenland's own terms. So, how did Canada outmaneuver the U.S.? Through smart, respectful diplomacy, economic necessity, and a willingness to treat Greenland as an equal partner, not a prize to be claimed. Greenland is walking a tightrope. It needs foreign investment to grow, but it refuses to be dominated or dictated to by outside powers. By choosing a partnership with Canada and the EU, Greenland is charting its own course, one that could inspire other small nations facing big choices. The new great game in the Arctic has a surprising winner. And it's not the one with the biggest military, but the one with the boldest vision for its future. The metal at the heart of this saga? Molybdenum? It may sound like a wizard's spell, but it's the secret sauce that makes steel stronger, tougher, and more resistant to heat and corrosion. Molybdenum is everywhere. In jet engines, pipelines, surgical tools, cars, and wind turbines. It's the unsung hero of modern industry, essential but rarely in the spotlight. Governments care because the defense industry can't function without it. Missiles, armor, advanced hardware, all need molybdenum. That's why both the US and EU have labeled it a critical raw material. The Malmbjerg mine in Greenland is one of the world's largest untapped sources outside China. For the West, it's a golden opportunity to secure supply from a stable, democratic region. The company that controls this mine holds a key to the future of Western industry and defense. And right now, that key is in Canadian hands. This is why the world is watching Greenland. To understand the American outrage, rewind to 2019, when Donald Trump floated the idea of buying Greenland. The world laughed, but the U.S. interest was real. Greenland's location and resources are strategic gold. The U.S. has operated Thule Air Base there since World War II, and as Arctic ice melts, the region's value only grows. Trump's real estate pitch was clumsy, but it reflected a deeper desire to secure Arctic resources. Even after leaving office, Trump kept pushing the idea, framing Greenland as a missed opportunity for American dominance. But Greenland wasn't looking for a buyer. It wanted a partner who respected its autonomy. The Canadian deal is a direct rejection of the U.S. approach partnership over takeover. The Canadian flag at Malmbjerg is a symbol of quiet, effective diplomacy. Sometimes the best way to win is to treat people like equals, not property. On June 19, 2025, Greenland granted a 30-year mining permit to Toronto-based Greenland Resources Inc. This decision marked a turning point for the region, opening the door to a new era of international cooperation and investment. This isn't a speculative venture, it's a world-class mine, backed by years of planning, environmental reviews, and strong EU support. The project is designed to meet the highest standards, ensuring both economic growth and environmental responsibility. The EU, eager to reduce reliance on China for critical minerals, has championed the project, securing much of the mine's output for European industry. This move is part of a broader strategy to strengthen Europe's supply chains and industrial resilience. Major steelmakers have already signed long-term contracts, making the project viable from day one. These agreements guarantee a steady flow of resources and provide stability for both the mine and its customers. It's a win-win-win. Canada gets access to valuable resources, the EU secures a reliable supply, and Greenland gains investment, jobs, and much-needed tax revenue to support its communities. The Canadians bring world-class mining expertise, the Europeans bring a vast market and financial backing, and Greenland sets the terms, ensuring its interests are protected. This collaborative approach stands in stark contrast to America's more top-down transactional tactics, which often overlook local voices and priorities. Canada and the EU treated Greenland as a true sovereign partner, not a prize to be won or a pawn in a geopolitical game. The result? A model of quiet, patient diplomacy that actually gets results, built on respect, trust, and mutual benefit. In the new scramble for resources, building broad coalitions and fostering genuine partnerships beats making demands or issuing ultimatums. That's how Canada and the EU won Greenland's trust and set a new standard for international resource cooperation. Why did Canada and the EU win while the US lost out in Greenland? The answer reveals a lot about how global power is shifting in the 21st century. It all comes down to approach, how you treat others, and what you value in a partnership. The US saw Greenland as a prize to acquire, focusing on dominance, control, and the idea of ownership rather than mutual benefit. The infamous offer to buy the island was the ultimate misread, transactional, not relational. It signaled a lack of understanding of Greenland's identity and aspirations. The EU, by contrast, offered partnership, investment, and a guaranteed market for Greenland's exports. They listened to Greenland's needs and built trust over time. Canada, as a fellow Arctic nation, brought expertise without superpower baggage. Their approach was rooted in respect and shared experience of the North. For Greenland, this was the safer, smarter choice: world-class mining, respect for autonomy, and no risk of being swallowed by a giant neighbor. They wanted partners, not owners. America's strategy was seen as arrogant and outdated. Europe and Canada's as collaborative, modern, and forward-thinking. In a multipolar world, alliances and shared value win over brute force. The era of going it alone is fading fast. The US wanted to own the mine. The EU and Canada wanted to be partners, working together for mutual benefit and long-term success. Greenland chose partnership, and a stronger transatlantic alliance was born, setting a new standard for international cooperation in the Arctic. The lesson? In the 21st century, respect, listening, and cooperation beat power plays and old-school tactics every time. The US missed a chance to adapt and evolve. Canada and Europe seized it, showing the world what modern diplomacy looks like. The Arctic's new rules are being written by those who listen, collaborate, and respect others, not those who shout the loudest or try to buy their way in. For Greenland, this deal is about more than molybdenum. It's about independence. Greenland relies on Danish subsidies, but dreams of standing on its own. The Malmbjerg mine could generate nearly $1 billion in tax revenue and hundreds of jobs, transforming Greenland's economy. Canada and the EU offered terms that ensured benefits flowed back to Greenland: local jobs, training, and strict environmental standards. Greenland's fragile Arctic environment and traditional culture matter, and Canada's northern experience made it a trusted partner. By choosing a middle power and a bloc, Greenland avoids being a pawn in US-China rivalry. The Canada-EU partnership is the just right option: economic benefits without overwhelming political pressure. This is a bold step toward economic self-sufficiency and true sovereignty. Greenland is charting its own course, balancing opportunity and independence. The world should take note. Even small nations can make big moves. Why does the West care so much about a Greenlandic mine? One word: China. China dominates global molybdenum production, controlling 40% of supply and much of the processing. In 2025, China flexed its muscle, restricting exports and sending shockwaves through Western industries. The Malmbjerg mine is a direct answer, a way for the West to break free from Chinese supply chains. Its output could meet a quarter of the EU's demand, shifting power away from Beijing. This isn't just about business, it's about industrial sovereignty and national security. Every new non-Chinese mine is a strategic win for the West. The Greenland deal is a move in the global chess game for the resources of the future. Snubbed on molybdenum, the U.S. is changing tactics, opening its checkbook instead of making offers. Washington is now investing in other Greenlandic projects like the Tanbreeze rare earth mine to secure a stake in the island's mineral wealth. The U.S. Export-Import Bank is backing American-affiliated companies, aiming to diversify supply chains and reduce reliance on China. This marks a shift from all-or-nothing deals to a portfolio approach, quiet, strategic, and effective. The U.S. is learning to play the Arctic game with financial tools, not just political rhetoric. For Greenland, this competition means better deals and more options. The U.S. may have lost the molybdenum battle, but it's still in the resource war. The scramble for Greenland's minerals is far from over. Why should you care about a Canadian mine in Greenland? Because it's about the security of your daily life. Molybdenum from Greenland will strengthen the steel in your infrastructure, vehicles, and energy systems. Securing supply chains independent of China makes Western economies more resilient. Greenland's story is also a lesson in small nations standing up for themselves, leveraging resources for independence and respect. This is about who writes the rules for the future, superpowers or smart alliances. The Greenland deal points to a more balanced, collaborative world. Even the smallest players can shape global outcomes, and that's a story that affects us all.